What's up guys, Josh here. Today I want to talk about an update about a video I made about roughly 3 months ago at this point. Hey, look at that. Another update video in a very short period of time. You know, that doesn't happen very often. So this update video is about Radim Passer. No, he was the man who uploaded a video of himself on YouTube racing down the Autobahn in a Bugatti Chiron going 257 miles an hour, 414 kilometers an hour to be exact, down the Autobahn at 4:50 in the morning back in July of 2021 and landed himself in quite some controversy with the law. So he was looking at a banned racing charge, which was like, come on. He wasn't racing anybody. There was hardly anybody out the time that he was going down the highway. Like, who was he racing? Like a ghost car? Like, come on now. But things turned out really good, and I'm going to get to why very shortly, so I'll leave a link down in the description if you want to see the original video so you can get up to speed on what happened with Radim Passer, even though I gave you some basic little details of what happened. You know, I go into more depth on what happened and so on and so forth, so you can go check that out and you see what actually happened during the whole course of the event. Talk about what went on and obviously what he was facing and, you know, the banned car racing, and so yeah, you know, if you feel like it, it's up to you. Just the whole 9 yards of what happened from start to finish. So with that aside, let's get right into this thing. So as I was saying, Passer gained the bad publicity. So the video was uploaded this past January, and that's when it all started. And the good news is all the charges were completely thrown out. Yes! But, you know, I'm so happy for him. Like I said in the video, like, I think this whole thing was stupid to begin with. The whole thing that, you know, like, prosecutors were, like, trying to find something to charge this guy with. And, like, what were you going to even charge this guy with? Like, he drove on the unrestricted portion of the Autobahn. Like, come on, like, give this guy a break. Like, you know, I could understand if he drove on a portion where the Autobahn had a speed limit. That would be different. But he didn't do that. And it's not like this guy, like, drove, like, in the middle of rush hour, weaving in and out of traffic, because that would be dangerous. I am so happy this guy is not getting charged with a single thing. Great for him. So what happened was, German prosecutors decided not to press any charges against Passer, which I'm glad that they decided not to, because like I said, what were they going to do? You know, like I said, the guy drove the unrestricted portion of the Autobahn, and he drove in, like, the safest conditions. You know, the weather was completely safe. No rain, snow, you know, it was great visibility, and just, like, what more can you ask for? Like, this thing shouldn't have gone as far as it did. Like, this video should have been, like, oh, how cool, like, Bugatti Chiron just flying down the Autobahn. Like, Germany just acted like this guy did it in the U.S., which we all know how that would have gone. Oh, you know, he'd be facing jail time if he would have done that in the U.S. of A. He would have had to find a great lawyer. He would have been lucky to, like, been getting, like, not going to jail. But, I'm happy that German prosecutors decided to let it go, and I am just so thankful that they made the right decision. Because, like, why would they try to, like, charge, because why were they trying to charge him to begin with? Like, I had a thought in my mind that I knew this wasn't really going to go too far. Like, what could you charge him with? This kind of teaches you, like, in a way. You know, Germany's kind of exempt for right now, as long as they stay unrestricted with the speed limits. To, like, not post what you do online, even though it's very tempting. Like, if you do it in the US, you are, like, SOL. If you post yourself doing well into the triple digits on any public highway, you know what's going to happen. 5-0 at your door, you know, you're going in the slammer. Yeah, it was in the unrestricted section of the Autobahn, there were barely any cars on the road. And he probably passed like no more than like 5, 10, whatever. Like, he hardly passed anybody. It was like nearly 5 o'clock in the morning. Hardly nobody was up. So there are two other great things that result from this as well. Now, from what I understand, the German Transport Ministry stopped going against Passer, which I'm very glad about, and Bugatti stopped boycotting him as well. So Bugatti was like saying like, oh no, we want nothing to do with Passer because of the whole thing. And the German Transport Ministry was just like criticizing Passer and just saying he was basically like a menace to society and whatnot because of what he did. Saying he was a danger like everybody on the road. But all of that stopped now, so I'm very, very glad about that. And it looks like things are going to turn back to normal for Passer, and I'm very, very glad about that. Very glad for the guy. Now, while this whole thing was going on, Bugatti had this to say, and I'll read to you what they said, quote for quote. It says, in our opinion, one must always behave responsibly when participating in road traffic. As a company, we reject/distance ourselves from any behavior on the road that leads to a concrete endangerment of road users. So, I understand where Bugatti's coming from. They don't want to encourage people from driving dangerously, putting the motoring public in danger, so I get where they're coming from there. I get that, they don't want to condone or be a part of putting people's lives at risk. So, I kind of understand where they're coming from. And, they didn't want media backlash, because that would have resulted in people not buying Bugatti cars, even though they're expensive as hell. And you have to be really, really rich to afford those cars. But, like I said, this whole thing shouldn't have gone as far as it did. It really shouldn't have. So, they released that statement back in February when this whole thing was, in the heat of the moment, so to speak. So, now he defended himself with 4 things. First off, he said the video was shot at 4:50 a.m., which was the time that the video was shot, so that's a time when, there was hardly anybody on the road in any part of the world, not just Germany. A lot of you know when, you're going on a long road trip or anything like that. Even in the United States, there's hardly anybody on the road for the most part. Now, the second thing he said that he defended himself with was he had 1 to 2 miles of visibility, which converts to 3 to 4 kilometers of visibility. Now, that's really, really good. So, as you saw with all, the straightaways and stuff, he could really, really see far. He could see, really, really far. It's not like he had, a whole bunch of turns, like a lot of other highways. He could really see, man, in a straight arrow. Like I-95 or the New Jersey Turnpike. But the New Jersey Turnpike is pretty much like a straight arrow. Or even, a lot of roads out in, Nevada, California, where they just, they're pretty much the same thing. They're a straight arrow for, miles on end. A lot of roads out, in the middle of deserts and stuff. Now, the third thing he defended himself with was there are 3 spotters on 3 bridges. So, there are 3 people on 3 bridges. So, you have 3 bridges, 1, 2, 3, and you have 3 people on them, watching around to make sure there's no obstacles. So, I'm guessing they had radios, and so they would communicate and make sure there, nothing went onto the highway so that, wouldn't crash. That's really, really smart as well. So, it's not like that he just did this alone. He really had this all planned out, which is really, really smart. Now, the fourth thing that he defended himself with was that he drove on that road beforehand so that there were absolutely no surprises whatsoever. There were no surprise curves or nothing like that. That he made sure that he knew the road that he was driving on. So he was very, very familiar with it before he actually did the run. I think that's very smart as well, to know the road that you drive on before you do a super high speed run, before you really go super all out. So, so Passer was really, really smart about that, and I give him a lot of credit for that, for really planning this out in the best way possible. you know, I think it was very professional and very smart on the way he planned it out. Like, he didn't just, it's not like he woke up one morning and said, hey, you know, I'm going to do a run doing nearly 260 miles an hour, like, in a day or so. He probably had this all planned out, like, weeks or months beforehand, and I don't know if that long, but he had it, like, planned out ahead of time. Got people with him to ensure that nothing would go wrong. So, like I said, you know, that's really, really smart. So, yeah, good for him. So with all that concluded, I am really, really glad that things worked out for Passer. And I am not just saying that because he probably, like, dreamed of this and he thought it was, like, really, really gonna backfire. He probably felt like, in a way, that, like, his life was kind of over. I don't know if he felt like everything was over. Probably did. I mean, it's 2022. Come on. Or maybe he thought things were gonna turn around. I don't know. I mean, you know, no one will ever know. I mean, somebody would have to ask him what he thought. But, yeah. I'm glad that the controversy is now over as well. I'm glad that's all behind him for good. I'm glad that he can now move on with his life. He can now rebuild from this whole thing. He can now enjoy his cars. He can now go back to being who he was before this whole thing started. Like I said again and again, and I know I sound like a broken record at this point, but it was just overkill that this thing, like, turned into, you know, a legal battle in court, and it ultimately shouldn't have gone as far as going to court and, you know, them looking to seek charges against Passer and things like that. So, and as I was saying earlier too, it shouldn't be like, oh wow, how cool, you know, a $3 million car going 260 plus legally down the Autobahn. But no, it was the complete opposite. At least, probably some people, it was really, really cool. You know, watching the video was, you could feel like, at least like an adrenaline rush from the guy going really fast. You feel like as if, like, you're kind of there. So that's really, really cool. To me, I don't know about you. So let me know if you agree or you disagree about the outcome in the comment section. Yeah, so I think that's going to wrap it up for this video. Well, that's it, guys. Hope you enjoyed this video. Make sure to leave a like, comment, subscribe, and turn on post notifications so you do not miss out one of my informative or cool videos that I post. And along with that, I'll see you next time.